It is a little after 3 in the morning, and your eyes are open. The house is silent, and you feel it, that strange familiar dread, the certainty that something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are doing something your body has done for hundreds of thousands of years. You are simply keeping an appointment the modern world told you to cancel. There was once a kind of consciousness that lived only in the deep middle of the night, a still, lucid, waking calm, and we traded it away for a light bulb. For most of human history, people did not sleep the way you sleep. They slept in 2 separate pieces. We even had names for them, the first sleep and the second sleep. A historian named Roger Ekirch spent years digging through old diaries, court records, prayers and novels, and he found the same quiet detail everywhere, in hundreds of forgotten texts. People went to bed not long after dark. They slept for a few hours. Then, around midnight, they simply woke up. Not in panic, not as a problem. They woke into a soft, expected stillness, and they stayed there, awake, for an hour, sometimes 2. They called it the watch, or the watching. And what they did in that hour is the strangest, gentlest part. They were not anxious. They were at peace. Some prayed. Some sat by the dying fire and thought. Some quietly visited a neighbor. Some made love. Many simply lay still, turning over the dreams they had just risen from. Then, naturally, they sank back down into the second sleep, until dawn, 2 sleeps, and an island of calm wakefulness floating between them. For thousands of years, this was simply what the night was. You might think this is just a quaint old custom, a habit of candlelit people, but in the early 1990s, a scientist named Thomas Ware decided to test it. He did one very simple thing. He took away their light. For a month, he gave a group of modern people 14 hours of darkness every night, the way a long winter night would have felt before electricity, and slowly their sleep cracked apart into 2 pieces. Their bodies remembered. They fell asleep, woke in the deep of the night, lay peacefully awake for an hour or 2, then slept again. The exact pattern from those old diaries, rebuilt from nothing, inside modern bodies. But Ware found something stranger still inside that waking hour. The people did not describe it as boredom or as insomnia. They described it as a kind of meditation, a calm, crystalline, awake stillness unlike anything in their normal lives, and their blood explained why. During that nighttime waking, their levels of prolactin stayed high, the same quiet, trance-like hormone the body pours out during deep rest and contentment. They were, chemically, in a state of waking peace. This was the midnight consciousness, a nightly chamber of the mind that opened only in the dark, between 2 sleeps, lucid, unhurried, half-dreaming, and nearly every human who ever lived once knew it. So where did it go? What sealed that chamber shut? The answer is sitting in every single room of your house. It is light. When cheap artificial light arrived, first gas lamps, then the electric bulb, the night stopped being truly dark. Evenings stretched later and later, bedtime slid past midnight and kept going, and the night squeezed shorter and brighter, no longer had room inside it for 2 sleeps. The 2 halves were crushed together into one solid block. The island of calm in the middle simply drowned. Within a few short generations, we forgot it had ever existed. We forgot so completely that when our bodies still try to wake in the deep night, exactly as they were built to, we no longer have any idea what is happening. We have even given the old sacred appointment a frightening new name. We call it insomnia. So picture it now. It is 3 in the morning, and you are awake, exactly as your ancestors were. But you do not feel their peace. You feel fear. You reach for your phone, and its cold light pours into your eyes, telling your ancient brain that the sun has somehow returned. You lie there calculating how little sleep is left, your heart beginning to race. The very state that was once holy, calm, reflective, half inside a dream, you now suffer as a small nightly emergency. You are having exactly the right experience and feeling exactly the wrong thing about it. The window still opens every night. You have simply learned to stand at it in a panic instead of looking through. Welcome to Zao. Tonight we are standing in the dark middle of the night, inside a room of the mind that the modern world quietly walled up, and asking what we lost when we lost the dark. Think about what that hour truly was. It was the only time in the whole day with no task, no audience, no light demanding anything from you, a space that belonged to no one but yourself. It was when the day's images were finally sorted and felt, when grief was allowed to rise slowly to the surface, when the mind, fresh from dreaming, was at its most open and strange and honest. Our ancestors used it to read their dreams, to pray, to simply be alone inside their own heads. It was a built-in hour of reflection, handed to every person, every single night for free. And we paved over it, not with anything evil, with something wonderful, with light, and all the bright waking hours it gave us. But every trade has its price, and this was the price, a nightly appointment with our own depths, quietly cancelled. We gained the night as a second day, and we lost the night as a sanctuary. There is something else buried in that lost hour. The old waking sat between two separate dreams. People would rise, hold the first dream up to the dark, turn it slowly over, and then sink down into a second. Dreams were not something you lost in a rush at sunrise. They were tended, like a fire, all across the night. We did not only lose sleep, we lost an entire relationship with the dreaming half of the mind. Now we slam all of our sleep into one block and wake to a screaming alarm, yanked out of the depth so violently that the dream is gone before our feet even touch the floor. And think of the silence we lost with it. The night our ancestors woke into had no engines, no hum, no glow along the horizon. It was a dark and a quiet so complete that the mind could finally hear itself think. You have, almost certainly, never once felt it. A real night. Light leaks toward you from somewhere at every hour. The dark you know is grey, never black. For you, the night never fully falls. We did not just brighten our houses, we quietly abolished an entire human experience. The deep, total, wholly dark, and almost no one alive even remembers that it was ever there. So the next time you wake at 3 in the morning, try something different. Do not reach for the light. Do not reach for the phone. Do not start counting the hours you think you are losing. Just lie still in the dark and let the old hour open around you. Feel how your mind, finally left alone, begins to drift and turn and soften. That calm is not nothing. That calm is a door. It is the oldest meditation our species has ever known, and your body still remembers exactly how to open it, even though your mind has long forgotten what it was ever for. We did not lose the midnight consciousness because it stopped existing. We lost it only because we stopped going there. It is still inside you, waiting in the dark, exactly where we left it. Maybe progress is not only the things we gain. Maybe it is also a long, quiet list of the things we trade away without ever noticing, until someone holds one of them up to the light, and we finally feel the shape of the whole. We chased away the dark because the dark once frightened us, and in doing so we lost the one part of ourselves that only ever woke when the lights went out. So here is the question to carry back to your bed tonight. If there is a calm, lucid, dreaming version of you that only ever existed in the deep dark, and you have never once met them, then who exactly have you been sleeping straight through? Tell me in the comments about the last time you woke in the dead of night. Were you afraid? Or, just for a moment, before the fear arrived, was it strangely, quietly peaceful? And know that I read every single one. Because somewhere out there tonight, the lights will fail, the dark will finally fall, and for the first time in their entire life, someone is going to remember.